Today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 KDP niche picks for the Q4 Christmas holiday period. So if you're new to this publishing business or you're an already established publisher, then you're going to find some very useful information here, especially as some of these books are very easy to create. Now, if you've not been here before, my name's Paul Marles and I do videos on how to make it, keep it and grow it. And that's your money I'm talking about. And if you do like videos like that, then please do give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and also smash that notification bell to receive notification of when I produce more videos like this. Now, first of all, before we get into this video, I've got this new chair which has got wheels. And at the moment it is an extremely low tide, which means that the side of the boat sometimes rests on the bank, which means it's leaning slightly. So if I don't brace myself, I just roll away downhill. So I'm going to rest my foot on a piece of wood and stop myself rolling downhill. And hopefully we'll get through the whole video. So, top 5 picks for the Q4 period. Now, some people have asked, what is Q4? And it's a fair enough question. It's the last quarter of the year, so it's October, November, December. And it's the sort of holiday period time when you've got things like Halloween coming up, Thanksgiving, and the Christmas holiday period. And most publishers will find that sales of their books will slowly start to increase. And if I look at my KDP dashboard, I can see already that we're starting to get some days where we've got big spikes in sales, and overall it appears that sales are just now starting to increase. And this is the same pattern that happened last year. It was about the first or second week into October that I noticed sales really started to take off, and usually they tend to increase more and more as the months go by and then suddenly die off after about the 24th, 25th of December. So it's a good time to get in there, create some books and make some sales. Now, there is a saying that goes something like, a high tide rises all ships, and that applies to this Q4 period. And that basically means that no matter what type of book you're selling, sales will increase in all these different sort of niche areas. And that includes things like my business books, which I make a lot of, the business type logbooks. Sales of those also increase during this period of time. So no matter what you're producing, hopefully you'll see an increase in sales. But I have picked out my top 5 niches that I think will sell especially well during this time period. And 4 out of the 5 are relatively easy to create. So even if you're starting out in this business, you can get these created and hopefully, fingers crossed, start making some sales. And the earlier you start, the better. Now, my number 1, my first pick, and these are in no particular order, is the Gag Gift Journal or Gag Gift Notebook. And these are basically humorous notebooks. They're very plain, they're blank lined, which means they're 120 pages of just plain lines. And on the front there's usually some funny quote. Now, I've recently done a video on this because it's such a big niche area and these books sell really well over this period that I devoted a whole video to it. And I'll leave the link to it above, and I'll also leave a link below. Now, I'll just show you quickly what I mean by a gag gift. You can see these here, and they've usually got something funny written on the front. They're aimed at normally people, so family members, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, co-workers. That's a huge one. They're aimed at professions and also people with sports and hobbies. So these are often given as a throwaway add-on gift. People get their main gifts, and these are just a little humorous gift that you can give to friends or family. And if you look at the covers here, they're very plain, usually just a basic dark colour with writing on the front, and the interiors are just lined. And in my Gumroad shop, again linked below, I give away a free 120 page blank lined interior which is just ready to upload to KDP. I produce notebooks with that and there are no issues with it at all. So I won't go into that anymore because I've gone into that in more depth in the video that I've mentioned below. Now when I'm doing niche research, I often look at BookBolt because they have this module in their suite. I think it's $9.99 subscription a month. Again, you can find the link to this below if you are interested. But they have the cloud module, which I find very useful, and it's great for looking at different niche areas, but also which niches are trending. Now, I tend to look at this once or twice a week, so I do notice any niches that are starting to move up, and I have noticed a few already. Now, first of all, one of the most popular books that sells in the journal notebook genre is the sketchbook, and I know that these will sell very well during Q4. So this is my second pick, if you like, and so it's a sketchbook. Now why I like these is, one, they sell very well, and two, as I'll show you in a moment, they're ridiculously easy to create, but you can give these a Christmas theme. So there's that sub niche of Christmas, and these make ideal presents for kids, girls and boys. So you can niche them around the girls, the boys, Christmas. And so rather than attacking the overall sketchbook niche, which is quite large, you can really sub niche into that area. And again, I've actually done a video on this. I'll leave a link to the sketchbook niche above. And again, in my Gumroad shop, I also do the keywords on the sketchbook niche. But I like this, and if we go over to Google Trends, we can see here that often each year there's a peak around August, September time, which I think is probably the back to school period. But also we get this bigger peak in December. So here again, August, bang, December, bigger peak. Last year, August, and again, a bigger peak in December. So we know these are selling well in December. And here's one, and if we just have a quick look inside, I'll show you how simple these are. It's just basically a blank page with often a rectangle put in. Now why do you put this rectangle in? It's because KDP doesn't like you to produce books with just blank, nothing on the pages, so you have to put something on there. Some people will just number them, but often people will put this border in there, and this is just a plain border. It could be a fancy border, you could do a Christmas themed border. And if we whiz through the BookBolt, there are quite a number of sketchbooks I've noticed here. So there's 3 already in the top, I don't know if that's a top 20 or 30. So they're very popular, they're perennial sellers, but sell really well at Christmas. So that's my number 2, the sketchbook. And again, I'll leave the link below to that video on that because it's such a big niche. Now, whilst I was looking on BookBolt, I come across this, which I've mentioned before in the Halloween niche, and that's the spell book, or book of spells, or grimoire, which must be French, I guess. And I can see these also selling very well during the Christmas period because lots of people are into sort of magic, witches, Harry Potter, that sort of thing, and so these books would sell very well. Now the issue with these is getting the interior. Now one of my favourite resources at the moment for interiors is Creative Fabrica. Again, I'll leave the link below, and I did put in KDP interior spells, and there weren't many people producing them. In fact, this was the only one I could find published by Moss. If you're someone that creates interiors and you're selling them on Creative Fabrica, this might be one that you want to think about selling. But they've got this spellbook interior which you could use. Now with these interiors of things like Creative Fabrica, or if you go into places like BookBolt for their interiors, the free and the paid ones, people say to me, well, what happens if there's lots of people producing these? Will you get a duplicate penalty notice? Well, in general with low content book interiors you don't, unless it's things like colouring books. People producing colouring books with the same interiors. I don't know why you would do that, but people that have done that are getting pulled up for duplicate content. But most other interiors you don't. But what I always like to do with these types of interiors is just make a few changes. Change the words, change the font, maybe change the size of, if there's a box in there, change the size of the box. If there's any graphics you could change, you could possibly change those as well. Now these are available, appears as only PDF files, so you'd need to edit these in a PDF editor, or if you've got something like Adobe Illustrator, you can open these in Adobe Illustrator and also make a change to the interiors there as well. But I think on the whole, you wouldn't be pulled up for using the same interior. And the same applies, because if you imagine things like blank lined interiors, how many blank lined interiors there are out there, but nobody gets pulled up for those. So I think on the whole, you should be fine. But personally, I prefer to make a few little minor changes. And it doesn't matter how minor those are, they're picked up by KDP as a different interior. If you do subscribe to, or you've bought Tangent Templates, they have a spell paper interior there as well, again grimoire, so you could also use that. And I was wondering whether you could perhaps, do a spell book and do a Christmassy theme around that. Maybe pictures of witches, wizards dressed in Christmas outfits. I don't know. That's where the imagination comes into creating the covers. And also on that note, with regards Creative Fabrica, you can find all sorts of Christmas graphics for the interiors as well. And these are all really reasonably priced, or you could subscribe and use as many of these as you wanted to. Other resources I use for graphics are Vecteezy. Make sure you make yourself familiar with the licensing agreement. And also designbundles.net is also another place where I've bought graphics from. But I know a lot of people are using Creative Fabrica at the moment because they have all the graphics, and because of the interiors that people are producing. When I was looking through Creative Fabrica, and I've mentioned this before, because if you do a search for KDP interiors, you can get a lot of ideas for niches. And this caught my eye, which was KDP social distancing colouring pages. So that brought me on to the activity book colouring book niche. Now these are very popular, and there are so many different niches. So you could create Christmas themed activity books, maze books, dot to dot books, puzzle books, that type of thing, and also Christmas themed colouring books. But also just have a think about things like the social distancing, quarantine, lockdown. Now again, looking on BookBolt, one of the popular ones seems to be the blank comic book type niche. I'll show you an example. Now I did put in here Christmas blank comic book, and it came up with 40,000 results, but if you just put in blank comic book, you come up with 2,000 results. So I'm not overly sure what's going on there, but these sell really well. Again, the interiors are very basic, and what you could do actually is use your interior and use that for the cover, like this person's done here, this publisher's done here, selling it very cheap, mind you, but selling very well. A lot of reviews, and people are starting to list, and they're making sales already of Christmas themed blank comic books. Again, low bestsellers ranks, quite competitive, but if you do use Christmas themed ones, they would make great gifts and sell very well. And there's quite a few of those in the top 100. There's one on BookBolt. Again, the interiors you could easily get from something like Creative Fabrica. There's loads here, all different designs. And again, if you combine them on the cover and maybe on the interior as well with Christmassy themed graphics, I think you could possibly be onto a winner there. And then we come to the last one, the fifth one. And I've just noticed these start to appear on this BookBolt list, and that is the blank sticker book. And these are very similar to the sketchbooks, but kids put their stickers in them. So if they get stickers for Christmas, they've got a book and they can make different scenes with their stickers. So let's have a look on Amazon at one of these. And here we have one here, currently with a bestsellers rank of 30,000. And let's just have a look at the interior. And all this is page after page with a heading at the top saying My Lovely Stickers. So again, it's one of those books that I've picked out that's good for people that are just starting out, people that are already publishers. You can create these very easily and they potentially sell very well. So again, my advice would be to do a Christmassy themed cover and maybe the odd graphic inside, you know, Christmassy themed graphic. And if you follow this book, you don't even need to have a border there. You could just have this heading on each page, and you could maybe also do a different heading for each page around a Christmas theme or around some other theme, because these would probably certainly sell well in other popular kids niches like dinosaurs, monsters, pirates, mermaids, unicorns. So I think those would be a good one to go. So there we have 5 popular niches, my top picks for Q4. We've got the gag gift journal or notebooks, very popular, lots of different sub niches, lots of different people you can target and sell really well. I've got some of these in my inventory that don't sell during the year but guaranteed sellers during the Q4 period. We've got the sketchbook, we've got the Christmas themed colouring books or the quarantine type lockdown themed colouring books and activity books. We've got the blank comic books and the blank sticker books. So 4 of them, very easy to create. 1 a bit more trickier, but the profits are potentially there. So I hope you found that useful and hope you found it motivating. If you're an established publisher or even if you're just starting out, you can get creating a lot of these books quite easily, so you can start to make your first sales. And once you start making those first sales, it is very motivating. You get that buzz and it, you know, gives you that impetus to start creating more books. So I hope you found the video useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. But make sure you do hit the subscribe button and smash that notification bell. And until next time, goodbye.